All right, y'all. I'm back at you with the Occultism Unleashed. I want to talk about a few things, especially this full moon in Cancer. As you can see, we looking right here at the moon. It's going to be full in a couple hours. Now, the moon is in the 8th house. The moon rules Cancer. So it's in its own house in the United States chart. And the 8th house is the house of debt, and it's the house of death. The resources that we gain from others, taxes, and things like this. Right now, the moon is conjunct Mercury. So this full moon is also going to highlight, 7th house matters. 7th house governs war. It governs relationship with our allies. Now again, the full moon is occurring in the 8th house of the United States chart. The thing that makes it so powerful this year, there's the sun is conjunct Pluto. So you have a sun and Pluto opposing the moon. You also have Pluto and the sun conjoined in the United States, native Pluto, the natal Pluto, the planet of power, manipulation, control, death, and transformation in the 2nd house of values. You're going to see some drastic changes come to the United States. Believe that. Some very drastic changes. And when you look at the Pluto conjunct Pluto and the sun conjunct Pluto, you're talking about a light being shed, an emphasis put on the power and control, the megalomania, the abuse of power. Pluto rules Scorpio. Scorpio has to do with the United States 11th and 12th house. More importantly, the 12th house, because this is the house of secrets. Now, when the sun is shining light on the planet that rules your house of secrets, secrets are going to come to the light. Secrets are going to come to the light. We have Venus retrograding back into the 1st house of the United States natal chart. Venus retrograde just made a square. Now, Venus rules the health of the nation. It rules the military and the police. And it rules, the image that the United States projects to the world and the investments that the country has. But more importantly, Venus, the ruler of health, is squaring Saturn in the 10th house, which represents the president. Joe Biden's health ain't good. Joe Biden's health ain't good at all. His health ain't good at all. Be aware. Be aware. Now, we have Mars. Mars is in the United States 1st house also, making it more inclined to aggressiveness and trying to assert itself overseas. As Mars moves out of Sagittarius this week and into Capricorn, the first planet it's going to hit is Venus. Again, Venus rules the office of presidency, and it rules the military and the police. It rules the military and police. And this is going to be an opposition. This is going to be an opposition. This is going to bring conflict into the nation. It's going to bring conflict into the nation. You're going to see turmoil with the police. You're going to see insecurity with the military, and it might not be put out there in the public, but you're going to find out through different channels that there is an active civil war going on in the United States. Beyond what happened at the January 6th, you're dealing with a military, FBI, CIA, Secret Service that has been infiltrated, and they're picking sides. They're picking sides. So just be aware of that, man. Be aware. Venus is retrograde. Again, that rules the presidency, the military, police, unions, You know, fifth house, investments, corporation, Wall Street. It's opposing the sun. The sun is the ruler of the United States' ninth house. The ninth house rules overseas. It rules publications. It rules the media. A lot of truth finna come out. A lot of truth finna come out, man, and you're gonna find out just how much millionaires and billionaires and the government and military operations influence what you get told by the media. You're gonna find out, Jack. Mercury retrograde. Mercury is retrograding in the second house of money and values. Now, Mercury rules Gemini, which is our allies, and it rules Virgo, which is intercepted in the ninth house. Virgo intercept in the United States ninth house, it really alludes and explains to us how they hide and conceal, because intercept means that that sign is trapped between two other signs in a house. So that tells you how the United States intentionally conceals information, because Virgo is the sign of information, conceals information and real higher education from the masses. And you'll also see that in the ninth house of the United States natal chart is Neptune. They deal with a lot of deception when it comes to higher education and learning, you know, spread misinformation campaign about, you know, foreign cultures and, you know, even religion and spirituality. Deception is the United States way of communication and control over the mind. And you can see this because the house that rules the mind has Aquarius on the cusp, but right here in this blue section, you have Pisces intercepted. You have Pisces intercepted in the third house of mentality, communication. You know, so when Pisces is intercepted and the moon, you know, the moon rules communication and information on a general level. It's, you know, it's in an intercepted house. You know, it's in an intercepted house, but Pisces intercepted in that house tells you there's a lot of hidden deception. You know, they use drugs to control the masses, whether the drugs and you know, other things ruled by Pisces, drugs, music, film, hypnosis, all these things to create illusions for you to chase. You know, these things are about to be revealed and exposed because this Mercury retrograde is retrograde into a conjunction with the sun, which rules the ninth house. This leads me to believe that the information is going to be leaked from nations overseas. I told you guys before, the United States has had their secret troves of information compromised. And again, you got another planet going direct, and that planet is Uranus. Uranus rules technology and information, and it's in the sign of Taurus. It's going direct this week, and as it goes direct, it's going to hit into that square with Saturn that I warned you guys about in a previous video. What does Saturn rule? Saturn rules Capricorn, the second house of money and values. Look for cyber attacks to crank up on banking and financial institutions. You know, maybe crack down on crypto and things like that, which they're going to try to do to preserve the integrity of the dollar, which has no integrity already. It has no integrity already. It's a promise to pay with nothing backing it except how much money they pretend they can extort from the everyday citizens. You know, Jupiter, the ruler of the United States first house, which rules our image we project to the world, is in the sign of Pisces, intercepted. Intercepted in the sign of, you know, illusion. And it's giving them the desire to paint that false image even bigger across the world. But at the same time, you know, Jupiter is going to make a trine to their natal Jupiter, which is going to help them with their allies. But at the same time, Jupiter is moving into a square, not to a, yeah, Jupiter is moving into a square with Uranus, the ruler of the third house, which rules the common population. Everything is about to come out. It's just a matter of time now. It's just a matter of time. And again, it's important that you look at Mars, especially Mars in the first house. It makes it more conflict oriented. But again, Mars was the first planet to cross over the eclipse. Yesterday, you've seen some things come out about, their positions overseas and things about the allies and corruption and things like that. As it squares the part of fortune, you're going to see a change in fortune in the United States' position in the world. At the end of the month, Venus goes direct. It's making a station on this Saturn, which again rules the values, but because Saturn is a 10th house, it rules the president and it rules the health of the nation. You can expect some bad news for Joe Biden and his administration, dissatisfaction and things like that. Reality is about to hit these people, man. Neptune, the ruler of deception and misinformation in the third house, is about to oppose the natal Neptune in the ninth house. You're going to see a lot of college professors and publishers, people with higher levels of education going against the government, going against the plan to spread disinformation and misinformation, keeping people in the dark because they feel like people can't think for themselves and don't have enough intelligence to make good decisions for themselves, which is going to lead to a breaking out of the sheep mentality. A lot of things are coming, man, and it's gonna bring some rough waters, man. Because again, next week when Mars goes into Capricorn, it's gonna oppose Venus, it's gonna oppose Jupiter, it's gonna oppose the Sun. You're gonna see some conflict, buddy. I hope you guys are ready. I hope you're prepared. And I hope you don't take this as a cue to get scared. Because when you have knowledge of the future, you have the ability to prepare for it. And besides, the things that are going on with this nation, you can't control. I promise you that. They can't even control what's going on. They can't even control what's going on. Pluto is moving into a conjunction with the natal Pluto, which would be the United States Pluto return. They didn't change their behavior, their attitude towards money and values. They kept their cruel and callous ways, and Pluto is going to destroy them. And that's just what it is. And because, destruction brings the opportunity for transformation, it's up to us to build this nation into what we want it to be. Us, not just black people, us human beings, humanity. The people who aren't on the selfish bullshit, the people who ain't on the fuck shit. It's up to us.